The lady from New Hampshire is recognized for for the remaining time in the minority.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Ms. Kuster, for yielding. I wanted to rise today in strong opposition to the bills we're considering today, which would short-circuit the approval process of fossil fuel projects at the expense of our environment and private property owners. In my home state of New Hampshire, Granite Staters are all too familiar with the problems of siting natural gas projects and the disruption this can cause for small rural towns. In 2015, energy giant Kinder Morgan proposed a large natural gas pipeline project that would have cut through 17 New Hampshire towns in my district, which are home to numerous environmentally sensitive areas that would have been negatively impacted by this project. Throughout the review process, I heard from thousands of my constituents whose concerns were not being heard by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Thanks to the commitment and tireless efforts of these advocates, Kinder Morgan eventually pulled the plug on this project. But there's so much more that needs to be done to give average citizens a seat at the table during FERC's review process. The bills we are considering today would do nothing to elevate the concerns of impacted communities during the FERC proceedings, and these bills aim to jam through risky pipeline projects while constraining other agencies from concluding important environmental reviews. We all know that FERC acts as a rubber stamp for fossil fuel projects, and the bills we are considering today further narrows the opportunities for private landowners to push back against projects and try to protect their land from eminent domain. At a time when pipeline expansion has increased dramatically, we should be working on bipartisan solutions that increase public participation during FERC proceedings. That's why I have co-sponsored legislation to create an Office of Public Participation within the FERC that would level the playing field for average citizens and give them a seat at the table. H.R. 2910, which we just debated, does nothing to achieve this goal and will only lead to more communities being left in the dark during FERC proceedings. H.R. 2883 would eliminate the need for a presidential permit for cross-border energy projects and dramatically narrow the environmental review to the narrow portion of the project that crosses the border. These cross-border projects are oftentimes hundreds of miles long. It simply makes no sense to conduct an environmental review on the small portion that crosses the border. That's just common sense. For the good of our environment, for the good of our communities and our public lands, I urge my colleagues to oppose these harmful pieces of legislation, and I yield back the balance of my time.